He said, "Hey, Hag, Don Henley wants to come say hey." It's like, okay. A great story is you climbing out from underneath the bus.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, just a little bit.
I think I was 11 years old. Are we rolling?
And I knew they were having fun. And as they were, before they were playing poker games or breaking out before they got off the property. So I I was 11 years old. I put a bunch of crackers in my pocket and stuff and got underneath the bus where the luggage is at. And about, I don't know, a couple 100 miles out, I popped out at a truck stop or something. And Dad looked at Fuzzy, or Fuzzy looked at Dad and said, "What do you want to do with him?" Dad said, "Put him to work." So I started passing out programs and stuff, That was my first start on the road,
And how old was you then?
11.
11. Well, before we get too deep into it, I appreciate y'all for sitting and doing this. This is something I've been looking forward to for a long time because Merle Haggard's the first concert I ever went to. I was only about 1 or 2. I don't remember it, but I always tell people that was my introduction to my love of country music and Merle Haggard's music. People ask me a lot who I think the greatest country musician of all time was, and that's a tough question to answer because there's a lot of greats out there. But I say, if you think about it analytically, as a songwriter, a musician, and a singer, I just can't see it getting any better than Merle Haggard. And so I appreciate y'all coming in here and doing this with us. We're back here at the Opry. Thank you, Dixie and Dan, for letting us do it back here. It's going to be a lot of fun. Y'all are playing tonight, and y'all got in pretty early this morning.
Yeah, I think we woke up at, what, 3 o'clock this morning?
You went to bed?
Yeah, yeah, we woke up at 3 and got out a plane, Minneapolis, I think, and flew in here and got a little rest and DoubleTree, and here we are.
Yeah.
Mm.
Life on the road, huh?
Yeah.
It was just a couple days ago, too.
Yeah.
I think we were.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So Noel was 11. How old were you whenever you started out on the road, Ben?
Well, there was a point in which I went with Dad on the road prior to being in the band. I probably about 9 or so, and Mom didn't want me to go. She said, "Oh, don't let my baby go." Dad's like, "No, he'd be fine." There's a couple California dates close to home, and it was really a fun time. So that was, the first time I really got a good taste for the road life, and
Yeah.
we'd been on the road prior to that plenty of times too as a young kid, but that was a pretty fresh memory as the first chance on the road.
Yeah.
What was that story, Ben, when Don Martin was driving and Ben was sitting up in the front seat up there? What, you're like 4?
I was 4 years old, and the story goes, Don Markham, the horn player of the band, he was driving, and it's getting dark. We're somewhere around Buttonwillow, California, coming off of 5 there, driving into Bakersfield. And I'm like 4 years old, and Dad's sitting in the passenger seat there, and Don's driving, and I keep asking him, "Are your lights on? Hey, Don, are your lights on?" He's kind of, yeah, kind of ignoring me a little bit, maybe. And then, after 5 or 6 times of me asking that question, he looks over at Dad, said, "Do I have to take orders from a 4-year-old?" And Dad said, "Yeah." "Don, are your lights on?"
A 4-year-old tour manager.
Yeah. Starting early.
That's funny.
What was that argument they used to get into about that car that Don said he owned? And he kind of liked the views.
Oh, Dad always say when Don would show up, he'd go down and buy these cars at the auction, and these little tiny, like Geo Metro, I don't know what they're called. They're just real small, and Dad would say, "Hey, Don, what are you wearing?" Is that what you're talking about?
No, he said he had a 50-something. Oh, and Don said, no, they didn't make one, and they're getting this big all going about. And all you had to do is mention it, and then it would start it. And it was pretty good. It just
Yeah, there was a year of a car that was like a 57 Plymouth or a
yeah.
58 Plymouth, and Don was convinced there was no such thing as, this car didn't exist. So I'm
Dad
sure
swore there was one, but it was just funny because Ben would just kind of like refuse, and then they'd go,
uh,
Don Market. What? There was no such thing.
can't figure out what car that was.
It was hilarious.
Well, it's interesting with y'all because there's quite a big age gap between the two of y'all. So I imagine you probably hear a lot of stories from Noel from those early days that are
All the time.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, like Dad was introduced me as youngest from the first litter and youngest from the last litter. So we hope.
Yeah, we hope.
Well, what was it like when you were a kid touring around with your dad?
Wow, I can't tell a lot of it, but
Well, tell us what you can.
a lot of poker games. It was cool. There were some really cool cats out there, Roy Nichols and Jimmy Belka and Noel, of course, and just a lot of poker games. They were having fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
What's some of your favorite memories from?
I'm trying to think of something like that I could tell that's not out there. That's not R-rated or X-rated. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that bad, but it was for a kid,
Yeah.
Let me think about it. I'm pretty sober today, so kind of like those stories come when you're sitting around having a beer, and
Yeah.
and it's hard to remember them sometimes when you just do it.
Well, you'd have been around some other legendary characters out on tour too. Who was some cool people that you got to hang around?
Well, Merle did the Bob Dylan thing. They started in California, and it was toured across the country to it ended up in Tramps in New York, I think, in Manhattan. And everybody from Jack Nicholson to Barney Fife, to Cher, to anybody you could think of came to those shows,
Wow.
That was real cool. Jack was a cool cat, He come on the bus and he had the glasses on, looking like he looked, and he was shaking his finger at Merle going, "I love performing artists,"
Yeah.
Barney Fife pulled up and he had Fife on his license plate. That was really cool. Fun thing. Yeah. Anybody showed up to that thing.
Yeah, I could imagine. What about you, Ben? What's some of your favorite stories that you're allowed to tell on air from touring around with your dad?
Oh, I mean, there's a handful of things if I can get my brain to turn on here. The sleep catching up to me.
Yeah.
There's been a few things. Playing the Grammys was pretty cool.
Hmm.
Playing with Kristofferson,
Yeah.
stuff like that was kind of a highlight of the whole experience with Dad. We did a period there to begin with, like 5-6 years, and then Chris joined us
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of shows, and this kind of changed things, and I mean, really made Dad happy, having
Yeah.
him come out. So we had some really good memories with them. Just those last, I guess, 7-8 years on the road.
Yeah. I saw y'all with Chris. It was after your dad had passed, though, in Lake Charles, Louisiana, at I think it was the Golden Nugget or something.
Yeah.
But I saw y'all with Chris. It was right after your dad had passed, sometime there. But it was pretty incredible to see Chris and y'all and the Strangers. That was people ask me sometime, what's your favorite show you ever been to, and I always tell them that one, because just one being in the presence of Kristofferson,
Oh man.
but then he's backed by you and the Strangers. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
that was incredible.
Yeah. And we had a couple of shows here after Dad had passed. We went to the Basement East with Chris, and him and I, and that was a different experience. Very cool in its own right. I think
One of my highlights too, because I never got hired to play guitar for anybody, because I'm not really a guitar player, but sit back there and play rhythm on those great songs was really cool.
What was Chris like?
Well, he was struggling with some health issues when we had got to know him, but he was still there, and this memory and a little bit there, and he was just kind of just so in the moment.
They've been the now, that's for sure.
I don't really
remember like stuff of the past.
I couldn't remember where to be, lost or the present. He was just right here with you,
Yeah.
with and kind of omnipresent in a way, He's
Yeah.
Kristofferson. He
They're
walks.
some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. His whole family,
Yeah, he's
really, really cool.
Well, y'all's dad obviously a huge part of the Bakersfield sound and what all happened out there in Bakersfield. Were you guys ever around like Buck Owens or Win Stewart or any of those guys?
I wasn't. You probably were
I
around.
was around a little bit of the Buck thing. I never met Win, but yeah. There's some things we can talk about and some things we can't. What is if you don't have nothing nice to say? No. Buck bought Bakersfield and had kind of, I don't know,
Left hand.
got to hit records and that was it.
Yeah.
Buck was all right. But I was pretty young then. We left Bakersfield when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13. So I was still running the streets pretty good.
Well, y'all are still touring quite a bit and stuff. What do y'all like to do on y'all's off time?
Well, I got a little boy I'm raising most of the time, so anytime I'm not, in the studio or on the road doing that thing, I'm kind of running down. You try to keep up with him. He usually says, hop in my go-kart, Dad. We're going for a ride. He'd take me around the property and we go fishing and stuff. So, try to spend as much time I can with him.
Well, you and I had a conversation a while back, and we had something in common that we like to go gigging frogs.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. We had a bunch of frogs up there, and Dad used to joke. We had some Cajun friends that
So Abe Manuel came up. Yeah.
Manuel and first time we ever had frog legs, they went out and just got a bunch of frogs out of the ponds, and Dad went out there one night and he said, he's like, I can't hear anything, where's the frogs at, and I said they wiped us out. We had a bunch of frog legs, but Dad was like, you guys took all my frogs.
Speaking of frogs, there was another time when out Lake Shasta, we spend most of the summers out there at the cabin and the natural reverb or whatever on the lake, the echo.
Yeah.
So he had this bad idea about recording on the water. So they built this dock put astroturf on it and had a generator way and go out there, and they had some people fly out and got us set up to push the red button and record something, and you heard ribbit,
Mhm.
and the sound of the
I found a picture of yeah, they got like Norm sitting in the front.
They spent a bunch of money getting it all set up and everything. It didn't fly, of course not.
Yeah, it's like the 70s or
You
80s.
hear crickets and
They got a PA set up on the front of a houseboat, on Lake Shasta. And Dad told me a story that there wasn't that many people out there on that, day and age yet, really. And they would take the houseboat up, to one of these coves and park up, and they had this big old microphone and stuff on that PA and just make a big old Bigfoot type noises and stuff through these canyons. And pretty soon you hear these boats just go just start taking off out of here, they heard Bigfoot or something, but really it was Merle Haggard there with the PA.
Yeah, there's one of them stories I'd like to be able to tell you, but I just can't do it. Maybe after you turn it off, it's hilarious.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean to bring it up when I can't.
Oh,
I'm not here, but
no, you're good. You tell us.
be right. I don't think. I'll tell you later. Sorry, folks.
What I'm learning is there's a lot of Merle Haggard stories that cannot be told.
Probably. Yeah.
What do you got, Noel?
I'm gonna put that in my book, maybe.
Just nothing that can be told. Yeah, that's the titles.
The things that shouldn't be told.
Well, one thing that I admire about your dad and folks like Willie and Chris They really just did what they loved right up until the end. And I heard a story, and you can confirm if it's true or not, that he was in a hospital bed and wrote a hobo cartoon,
Yeah.
or part of it anyway, and sent over to Sturgill, and I guess he finished it.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much of he finished, or maybe it was melody.
Uh,
I'm trying to think of, how much Sturgill had a hand, but there was a hand that he had in it.
yeah.
And I do remember being with him there in the hotel room, or the hospital room. And he had wrote like 8 or 9 songs.
Wow.
Like probably, a week before he passed.
Wow.
And Hobo Cartoon was one of them. And somehow, it got Sturgill and him got in contact with it, and
Yeah.
good thing. So
Yeah, it's such a great song.
he did a great job.
I love that song. Well, you see a lot of stuff like Waylon has, stuff, archived songs that are coming out, and they did one with Johnny Cash and George Jones. They did a new album. Is there any Merle Haggard in the vault that might come out down the road?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some stuff we've been messing around with in the studio. There's stuff of his, just good amount of archive.
Wow.
Live shows and stuff that hopefully my mother will probably end up doing something with,
Yeah.
getting some stuff out there.
Oh, that'd be incredible. That'd be incredible. I figured because he was such a prolific writer.
Yeah.
And such a good writer.
Yeah, there's stuff that's never been heard, new songs and stuff out there, for certain. Yeah, which need to find their way out, if you ask me.
Yeah.
There's some homemade movies that he used to do in Bakersfield. There was a TV station that was going out of business, so he bought the cameras. And Bugsy Ones, Lewis Talley, Bonnie, the band, everybody would. He had names for everybody. He was Chemo Kamalian. Bonnie was Mildred Mood. She cried all the time. And Bugsy is, they all had these blanket bar guys. God was blanket bar, and they had all these names, and they were. I don't want to say they were just say they were staying up probably longer than most people, but all that. Yeah, I was just a little kid running wires for them and stuff, But it was hilarious. It was, and then you do commercials and everything, So, yeah, those got to be somewhere. Those.
Yeah, I've seen one. There was one that they made for Lewis Talley, I think, like for his birthday or something.
Oh,
Or it was Lewis Talley singing for Dad.
wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was just, real intimate, and just singing a bunch of songs, because Dad loved to hear Lewis Talley sing, and
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think Lewis really sang all that much, but he really had a good voice, huh?
Yeah, it was great. Get a little bit of that sauce in him, and quite
Kind of like Ernest.
Yeah.
I had a lot of charisma.
Well, I love a good, story behind a song. Did y'all's dad ever tell y'all any good stories behind, some of the iconic songs that he wrote? Or maybe what's some of y'all's favorite stories behind some of those songs?
Big City was somebody a story. It was in the back of the bus. They were going into to Reno, and the driver at the time was Dean Holloway. Then he's wearing his boots now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Dad came up to the back. Said, "Where we at, Dean?" He said, "Oh, we're going into that big city." And he went back to the back. Is what I was told him, and started writing that.
That's all he needed was that line,
That was it.
and wrote an iconic song. That's
See here,
incredible.
Be right back.
What is your favorite Merle Haggard song?
You looking at me?
Yeah.
That's impossible for me to answer.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, I couldn't. And I'm not trying to get out of the question. There's no way I could have one.
Yeah.
I really have to think about that. I've lived, quite a few of them.
Yeah. Was there one that's maybe your favorite to play when y'all are out on the road?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think my favorite is that's such a good response out of Running Kind Fugitive,
Yeah.
off that little video we got to do. That's fun. I always kind of like the B-sides, Dealing with the Devil, things that weren't really singles,
Yeah. Yeah, some of those deep.
Stay away
so
from it.
good.
Now, Benny does some of the number one. I kind of stay away from.
What about you, Ben? What's some of your favorites to play?
Let's see here. Good Times Really Over is fun to play and sing. Sometimes Stay Here and Drink really comes off good. If the mood's right, in a club or something.
Yeah.
Listening wise, my favorite might be like If You Hated Me.
Mm.
Kind of a B-side. That's the Way Love Goes.
Yeah.
Just a great song. And that whole album too, Bed of Roses, or Pay Me a Bed of Roses, and all them tunes are some of my favorite. And of course, like Mama Tried and the earlier stuff is really good too. But I feel like Dad matured into Merle Haggard somewhere around the 70s and the 80s and just became this icon.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's some great stuff too, that kind of like almost on the pop side, like Out Among the Stars and things like that.
Wasn't Easy Come, Easy Go kind of a pop hit over in Europe?
Yeah, it was a big, I don't know the name of the guy that had it, but
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Dad cut it on that record as well.
Leona Williams, I think, introduced him to that tune. She knew them people when she was over there or something.
Leona?
Yeah.
One of my favorites is What Am I Gonna Do with the Rest of My Life?
Oh man.
What a song.
Yeah, Grady Martin solo. And
yes. Yeah. That's on I think that's on the That's the Way Love Goes album.
I think, yeah, who Merle could only wrote, he kind of a little better writer here.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's like that. It's like that story of Needles. We stopped in Needles one night at Denny's, Needles, California, and then we go in and it's like 11 o'clock and Dad sits down. We all sit down. And the lady comes over, takes her order, and this gentleman comes in, walks past us. And he's like, "You look like Merle Haggard." And Dad's like, "Yeah, I get that a lot." And he's like, the guy's like, "You're not him?" He's like, "No." So he just plays it out. And the guy was like, "Yeah, he only had a few hits, huh?" He was kind of piddled out. Yeah, and Dad was like, "Yeah, he wasn't that great, huh?"
I think one time on Pop Goes the Country, he dressed up with a long, just went out and played guitar, but he had like a long wig on.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
And a beer and stuff, and he just did it to see if he'd get away with it.
We did that one time. We were in Vegas at the Golden Nugget or something, and we had this wig up in the hotel room, all these weird ass glasses, and we're like, "Dad, he's like, let's dress up." And he's like, "All right." So he had this long ass wig, and these glasses on, and this funky hat, and we go down the elevator, and the first guy that sees him, "Hi, Merle." He's all in this dress up, and we're trying to look like Incognito, just first guy sees him, "Hi, Merle."
They like to do that. One time there was this guy coming to Harris up there. He'd do 2 weeks at a time at Harris Club, and this young guy was coming to interview him. So he thought it'd be funny to everybody dressed up in pinstripe suits, and they had cash all over, money, cash all over the place. And
Yeah.
so the guy's interviewing him, and he's telling, well, I can't really answer that because like he's owned by the mob and stuff, and the guy could get all nervous and stuff. He just thought that was fun, messing with that reporter,
All right, we're back after a little break of sound check. Y'all sounded great out there. We did learn that you guys have to follow Elmo the Puppet, which is interesting. How do y'all feel about that?
I'm a big fan. I followed Joe Bonamassa at one time, and I swore I'd never do it again. But Elmo's another story, and I've heard he's a hard act to follow.
I think he might be on that methylene blue.
Methylene blue. On methylene blue. He's blue inside, red outside.
Oh, Lord. Well, you were telling me a story a while ago about your dad and Don Henley.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Why don't you tell it to it?
So we were on the road somewhere. I was probably 17 years old, maybe, and I can't remember the exact town. But our bus driver, Ray McDonald, comes up, and Dad's in the back of the bus, and he's, doing his thing. He's after the show routine, rolling a joint or something.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, Hag, Don Henley wants to come say hey." It's like, okay, And so comes back there, and they're chit-chatting it up and, talking. And Dad's lights it up. And Don's like, "Yeah, Merle, we we should do some shows together. And Dad's like, yeah, Don, you got a band?
I was doing dishes, and they talked for a while.
Yeah.
And finally asked him, "So, you got a band?"
You got a band, Dad? Don said, yeah, it's the Eagles.
The dad had called the Eagles.
He said, yeah. You know, he knew the Eagles, but he knew. It's just, yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
That's funny. Noel, have you thought of any PG or PG-13?
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of. No, I really hadn't been thinking about it. I was trying to get to that.
Tell us about that time you took the go-kart to the liquor store or something.
Oh no,
That sounds like a good story.
The Black Widow, 50 miles an hour.
15 years old, and he had bought this racing, or somewhere on the ranch. I don't know who bought it, where it came from, but it was just a racing go-kart. And so I went down to Palisadro, which is about, 4 miles?
Yeah.
About 4 miles down to there. And I had a buddy that worked at a liquor store. So I went down there and got me some little something. And they would do 100 mile an hour. I wasn't worried about getting caught, Anyway, it's no big deal. Yes. Good stuff that I did.
He's crossing the freeway. You told me a little more elaborate story about 40 mile an hour. You know,
Yeah, you go down 3.5 mile and he back, then you got to get on the highway, and then,
oh, Lord. And that time you flipped that Toyota pickup
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
that Dad gave you. Remember that?
Yeah, I stole it, actually. What
You
happened,
stole
I
it?
came home drunk, and it was a brand new Toyota 4-wheel drive special, and they got it for a work truck. And I come home one weekend, and I borrowed it to go to Bakersfield. I was going to head to Bakersfield. We was up Ready, which is north, and got about Sacramento or so, and I didn't have any money, so I was stealing gas. And I was going to wait for, till I don't remember if I was waiting for daylight or whatever. And I sobered up and said, I got to get this truck back. And well, I didn't make it. They arrested me for grand theft.
Oh.
No doubt. Dad left me in jail there for a couple of weeks, and he got home, and I came home, and he said, "You like that truck?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What are you doing in school?" I was 17 or something. I said, "Not much." He said, "You're going to work." He said, "You have the truck." That's the story right
So it was after that was all crashed and everything.
Oh no, that was later.
Oh,
Yeah, it was brand spanking new then, but yeah, I rolled it a few times. But yeah, my story. I'll put it in the book. I'm gonna try to write a book.
That'll be a good book. I'll definitely be reading that one.
We won't have to hold back too much, but it won't be. Just want to write about the cool stuff and the fun stuff, that we got throughout the years, and nothing that's gonna incriminate anybody.
Well, I'm not going to keep y'all too much longer because got a big show ahead of y'all following Elmo.
Part 2 or something.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part.
A kind of road or plane lag that been, but
yeah.
Well, I tell you what we need to do. We'll give y'all some time to think on some more stories that can be told. I'll fly over to California. We can congregate there. We can gig some bullfrogs, fry them up.
Dude, yeah. Go fishing.
Go fishing and
yeah.
Yeah, then you can swing by Texas.
Yeah,
I live in Texas, so
I'll pick you up. We'll roll up to California. We'll have a road trip.
Yeah, man.
to Reading, and there'll be plenty of stories on Texas.
Like there's
California.
So many things moments I've been like, God, that'd be like good podcast, talk.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I know I was actually up last night late, or I got up really early actually, and I think it was like at 5 o'clock in the morning, you had posted on your Instagram story in the airport, and I was like, oh, these boys are about to be tired.
Yeah, I just looked at it. It was like 9 hours ago already. I'm like, he's like another day.
Well, I can't speak for Ben, but it's also the Opry, so I'm like real sober.
Yeah.
And
I am too.
We tell stories when you've had a couple beers, and
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go congregate in California, and it'll be laid back, and we'll kill some frogs and eat them, and
We'll have some frog legs, man. It's been a while. We got a couple big ones out there, I know, though.
Yeah, like 2 left.
And
They never
out
lived
there.
yet.
They repopulated. They repopulate quick. Dad was like, God dang it, you got all my frogs, eh? Abe and Roderick, man, they'd been frog gigging all
I
night.
think when that there was an artist that had told him, "Better look out now. Abe Badge will clean out your pond." So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time they him watching him cook them, and they're like sitting in there going like this, moving and stuff. And it's like, what?
Asians do eat anything
Oh yeah,
occasionally.
I can't you?
yeah. Like I told you, I'm from down there, South Louisiana. We got some massive frogs
Big
down
old
there.
frog.
But I
I can tell you when we get back to this next trip, I'll tell you some stories about down there. But I get it, it's got to be there. Might be a little rated R, but
well, we'll get a case of beer and we'll start the podcast about halfway through it.
they name me the California Kunas, what they call me.
That's what they started calling us, man. Abe and Roderick. Yeah. Said y'all are California coonasses, aren't you?
Some good people down there work hard and party hard.
Well, I know y'all got more shows coming up and stuff too, so I do want y'all to tell, where people can go find and go see you on the show, because if y'all hadn't seen it, y'all need to go see them on the show. It's incredible. Like I said earlier, I saw y'all a long time ago at Kristofferson, and I seen y'all. I want to say it was you being in Austin a couple of years ago. I think I saw you out there, but it's always such a great show. So where can folks go to see where y'all going to be next?
I think it'll be up on benhaggardband.com. I think that's what it is. That's pretty sure, and it should be where people can find the dates and stuff. So
yeah, so be sure to go check that out and follow Ben everywhere. And this one was fun. The next one's going to be even funner. Part two, the gloves might come off. Well, fellas, I sure appreciate y'all for doing this with me, and best of luck to y'all following Elmo tonight.
I don't know if I can do it. He's like,
well, I appreciate y'all, and we'll do it real soon.
all right, thank you, brother. Thank you.